Hey, this is Carla from the Butcher Babies.
This is George Corner Fisher from Cannibal Corpse.
Hey, this is Rex from Kill Devil Hill. It's Wednesday 13.
This is Daz from Devil Derby.
This is Odorous from Quad. You're listening to Rabid Noise
on Rabid Radio.
Turn it up.
Hey, Danny, how are you, man?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, man, it's great to talk to you again, man. How's things?
Yeah, it's been busy, obviously, but yeah, good. Everything's been good.
Awesome, man. Well, the new Devilment album, 2, the Mephisto Walters, comes out on November 18, and it looks like you guys had an absolute blast making it in the studio. Was the majority of the writing done there, or was it already ready to go with demos?
The majority of the album was written prior to the studio, but we did a lot of production inside because we worked very closely with the producer, Scott Atkins, who also works on Cradle as well. In fact, he's going to be doing a new Cradle album, which, I'm saying I'm busy. The new Cradle of Filth are going in at the mid of December to begin their new album. And the majority of that's already written. Not the majority of my parts, I must admit, but getting there in between everything, between all the press for Devilment. So it's a bit like a snow globe that's constantly being turned from one side to the rest. Except it's not snow, it's like coal dust. But yeah, going back to the Devilment album and in the studio, we did work very closely, like I say, with the producer, and that led us to write a couple of, well, not write, but to finish some of the songs and dissect others and rehash choruses and anything we could do to make the album what it is. I mean, we even jettisoned the song, which I had a perfectly good vision for, but unfortunately nobody else shared that vision, and so we jettisoned the song, which is, that's cool. I won't cry about it. I've cried too much. But yeah, we worked very hard on it, and it was kind of unique in the fact that we played on the strengths of the debut album. And so, for example, just the obvious one, there's more female vocals where they're needed. And for the first time in a track called Full Dark, No Stars, and this is true, all the albums I've done, it's the very first time. Normally I get some ideas from the female in the band, and they'll do a la-la, or they'll do some rough vocals, and Lauren did some rough vocals, and in the end I ended up keeping the lyrics and building the song around that, because to me it just went, well, that works. They're pretty good. I changed a couple of words. That's it. It just seemed, when a song's right, and when, you get an idea and go, it might be a balmy idea, but it works, and, quite frankly, any song in the world's got a balmy idea behind it. And because of that reason alone, you just know when it's right, something clicks, and yeah, for the first time I actually wrote around someone else's lyrics, and that's the first time I've actually given credit to anybody else for writing lyrics for the record. Normally I'm quite precious about it. But Devilment's a different beast altogether, really. It's been refreshing because of that. Cradle, don't get me wrong, it's totally refreshing the moment, it's great, but there's preconceptions about Cradle, because of the longevity of the band, the history. People come to expect something. With Devilment, there's nothing there, really, apart from a debut album. And, with a second album, you go to a bit of a crossroads where you can take it, but you can't stray too far, otherwise people will be like, well, that's not the band you introduced us to. But there are still options, For example, if I want, you could write a song about alien invasion for Devilment and nobody would bat an eyelid. But with Cradle, people will be like, not feeling this.
It seems like with Devilment, as you said, is a totally different beast. And it seems like, what I sort of get from it, man, is like more rock and straight up metal influences than, it's still got elements like symphonic stuff in there. But
thrash metal and bit punk and whatever.
Yeah, that's right. And with that though, was that the original plan? You just I need to do something a bit different, a little bit rockier than
well,
what you've been
it wouldn't
doing.
make any sense to do something completely the same, because everybody would be, asking the question, well, what's the point? All you're doing is, thinning what you've already, done.
Mm.
It literally would be pointless. So yeah, it's a kind of escapism, I suppose, a bit of a pressure valve where you can, it's like, well, the obvious thing, actually, somebody asked me this earlier on today and said, go on, just sum it up about lyrics and your, the way you are with the band. And I said, well, sum it up as I see Cradle as being, and I'm not comparing myself by any way, I'm just saying representative. I think Cradle was sort of Edgar Allan Poe or Byron or Shelley or Baudelaire, whereas Devilment are more Roald Dahl, Sylvia Plath, Tim Burton. It's more modern, a little bit more quirky, a bit more surrealist, still dark. But as the title suggests, Devilment, it's about Machiavellian mischievousness. It's not about massive inverted crosses and dripping blood skulls off the logo, or virgins tied to the T and the D. Although, God forbid, we tried. I wouldn't say lighter, because the album's really heavy. It's got some pop sensibilities in the fact that big choruses and tuneful and catchy, but it's still fuck heavy.
Yeah, I got that too. See, I got that with the first album as well. It's definitely different, and I guess people weren't really expecting it, and I think that's an awesome thing. I mean, especially you've been doing this for how many years now? Was it just sort of time to just go, yeah, I've got to do something a little different. So, when I'm doing the Cradle thing, it's a little bit fresh for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it also, when it comes back to doing Cradle, it obviously shows, the difference between Great and Secret Show and Hammer, which is example. It's a huge gulf, and I think it helps both bands in its own way.
Oh,
it
definitely.
Kind of highlights the differences and highlights, the pros about each.
But, the album's actually going to be released as a special double gatefold clear vinyl, which looks amazing, man. How much do you have a say when it comes to sort of the actual physical release and special editions and stuff like that?
Not so much on what they want to release, but we do have total control. The artwork is amazing. It's not just the cover. The artwork extends throughout, and always with Cradle and anything we do, I always like it looking great, and the artwork this time is phenomenal. And I was very happy when it came to them wanting to do vinyl and gatefold vinyl, because I got to sit with the graphic designer and got to I got it all up on my computer at home, and just like, this looks fucking brilliant. I love it, literally love it. Because we had an artist, Elena Vitskaya, and the artwork was already been done by her, but we got to choose the bits we wanted. And I've always been a fan of her work, and we were going to use some stuff for Cradle ages ago, but it didn't happen, mainly because of the band. And so I was very fortunate when we came to use it for Devilment, and she was still interested and, still cool with us working there. The pieces that we liked, which were phenomenal, hadn't been bought by anybody else, or hadn't been taken for art galleries, and I got no idea why. It's almost like this force field had been put around them, especially for us. And then on top of that, because we've got 6 amazing pieces, the graphic designer Dan Goldsworthy has linked it all with his own art. Because obviously when you have a special edition, you suddenly find yourself with another 4 pages to fill, and he's just done a phenomenal job as well, and it just looks great. Yeah, and then we sat and we sort of designed the vinyl and everything, and just those things I think separate, the physical world from that of the digital, and I think that's important.
Oh, definitely, man. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of that one, because I think it'll probably sound great as well. It sounds like you guys put a hell of a lot of effort. You always have, but I think something a bit special about this album, man. I've got to say. Yeah,
cool.
And of course, even though you've made a name for yourself in the industry with Cradle, was it exciting that you were going out there with a new project? You've been doing Devilment for a while now, but you know, did it feel like it was like a challenge, like you were starting all over again in some way?
Yeah, I mean, some people say, oh, well, you know, you had a head start. Well, maybe a head start by knowing people, but to be fair, it was a bit of a hindrance because, you know, record company, they haven't said it, but I'm sure people were looking upon like, well, isn't this a bit of like diverting from the real thing? Do you know what I mean? Isn't this like just kind of getting in the way? Are you not just, you know, making more work for yourself? Blah blah blah. And people like, well, if you're trying to be different, then why should we give you any more? It was a double-edged sword, really. So, you know, what it gave by people knowing who Cradle were, it kind of took away from the other hand. And it didn't stop us, really, when we went out on tour with supporting Motionless in White and Lacuna Coil, because we were like, you know, I just got back from Russia playing these huge, you know, big venues, you know, like 2,000 plus venues, you know, maybe 1,000 on a bad day. And then I got back and a couple of days later I was out, you know, getting made up in a hallway. But I mean, yeah, great tour. I mean, we shared a bus with Lacuna and everybody treated us very well. I mean, most of the crew knew me anyway, so yeah, it was different. But yeah, it wasn't like we were given a gold-plated platinum, you know, card from the off, and we had to pay our dues.
There's something kind of fun about that as well, I guess. You know, you as you said, you're playing those massive, you know, tours, and then
big gigs, not massive, but big gigs. A big running tour. It was 19 dates, and then yeah. But
still, I mean,
it was
something
good.
kind of,
I enjoyed it. It was like slumming it.
There's something cool about that, though. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't a small tour by any means. I mean, Motionless in White and Lacuna, some big gigs. But
definitely.
Yeah, but there we were, like at the front of the stage. You know what I mean, with literally a few inches each side of us.
That's
drum
awesome.
kits set in front of another 2 drum kits type of thing. So, yeah, but it's got better since then. We've played some big festivals. Last summer we've got a 11-date headline tour coming up before the end of the year. We can't speak about next year because at the moment none of the festivals or the tours have been booked because I can't do anything personally until I get out of the studio in May, because obviously in there doing a new Cradle album. You're
cramming a lot in. I mean, if you're going from, you know, playing a bunch of shows, jumping in the studio, and then, I mean, that's a pretty big workload, man. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's developed into a lot, and at the moment, in fact, it's worse at the moment because, no, I mean, like I've got to go to the studio because I'm demoing Cradle stuff, and of an evening I'm writing Cradle stuff because I'm personally only 3 songs into the 10 songs that are on the next Cradle album, and so yeah, and that's today. Tomorrow it reverses because I'll be in the studio first, and then I'll be doing interviews because it's America. So I'm going to bed about 3, trying to get up about 10, trying to get it all done. I mean, it slows down when you're in the studio because obviously you're concentrating on one thing and one thing alone. But it's better than you know, twiddling your thumbs, I guess. That's it. But I guess you're a horror fan, of course. Have you had much time to catch up on like Ash vs. Evil Dead and stuff like that? Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw the first series of that. I'm not sure if the second one. I saw Penny Dreadful. Been watching Gotham. I got to see a couple of films recently. I saw was Miss Peregrine, you know, the new Tim Burton movie. Saw that. Oh, that loved it. Yeah, it was awesome. The only bit that I had problem was that they had this massive ship sailing towards Blackpool in the Second World War. You know, the British Navy would have just taken it out straight away. That was the only problem I had with and the fact that he was walking around with a crossbow in the middle of town. That would have been a no-no as well. But anyway, apart from that, it was fantastic. Yeah, I did like that. And of course, man, well, Ash vs. Evil Dead season 2's just kicked off, man. I haven't actually got round to that yet. I'm on Strange Things next. Stranger Things. You haven't caught that one? Oh man, you're gonna love it. You're gonna absolutely love it. Yeah, I watched. For some reason, I got hooked on Daredevil for a while, but I don't get a great deal of time to catch up on these sort of things. You know, I've watched one episode of Game of Thrones, put it that way. Oh, wow. Man, I mean, you're busy, dude. You got to work, you know, and stuff like that. But hopefully somewhere in there you get a chance to catch on that stuff. Good, man. Are you a collector as well? I mean, I saw a video years ago.
Well, I'm a collector of so many things there. I kind of, the horror stuff, but it's more like figures and antiques and stuff like that. I've got too much stuff for my own good, literally. My house is like a Victorian museum. It gets to the point now where I suddenly look and go, you know what, I'd rather go back and have it less full, less of stuff. There are too many books, too many DVDs, too many CDs, too much furniture, too many toys, too many statues. Just, yeah.
Man, I'm a big collector, and, you know, I'm actually having a garage sale on Saturday. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. We're actually looking to extend into my roof just so that we can have somewhere to put all the stuff that I've got boxed, because it's starting to encroach on living space now, you know.
Oh, it's all part of fun, man. What would you say is your prized party collection, I should say?
For some reason I got hooked on Living Dead dolls. I don't even like the fucking things, really. I've got about 220 of those, I think, different ones. I've got a life-size black Dalek from Doctor Who.
That's awesome.
From the BBC that talks, although he's not rigged up. I've got to sort his voice box out again. Yeah, it's complicated getting inside him. You can't actually you can get inside, you can't get inside and drive him around. He's on wheels, but you have to get inside to rig it all up, and somehow some wirings come a bit askew.
Sounds like you need to get a Sparky out there to have a look at it.
I need to get a sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Man, that's awesome. That's what we do.
Yeah. I've just got another thing though. I've got two mummies, not authentic mummies, but the big wooden replicas of Nefertiti and Ramesses II. And I've also got which I was going to get rid of, but I'm not sure how to sell it because it's pretty ugly. I've got an original John Wayne Gacy painting, one of his rarer ones as well. I mean,
wow.
It's not. I bought it in '99, so I wouldn't sell it for less than about 10 grand because I bought it for about 1,200, but I got it for a snippet of the price, really.
That's amazing,
but again,
man.
Obviously, it's getting rarer. Every year it's getting rarer because obviously people burnt a lot of his stuff as well, and this is quite a big piece, actually.
It's not something you'd really just want to stick on Gumtree or eBay, would it?
Yeah, I don't think Gumtree. I don't think you're allowed to sell stuff like that now. I think Gumtree and all those little subsidiaries of eBay have all said enough, because people were selling, like bits of Ed Gein's farmhouse and stuff, and I think they put a ban on it and said it was tasteless. What
about a museum or something? Would they take?
Well, they wouldn't pay for it. That's the thing, wouldn't they?
Yeah, money.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've been a bit of a stickler in that, but yeah, I've got to pay for my second yacht.
Yeah, well, that's or another Dalek. It's always good.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, are there any plans for you to come down here with Devilment?
Well, at the moment, no. But I mean, that could change. That can just change with a promoter showing some interest. But probably doubtful for the time being. But I do know when Cradle begin their world tour, which we've been building up to for a while, which starts in September of next year. We've got one of those One World Alliance tickets. So we're pretty much doing all 5 continents, and you have to do it all in one day. I know basically, long story short, I know we're coming to Australia, and I know we're coming to New Zealand for the first time. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. Yeah, good to see you guys in Brisbane again too.
Yeah, awesome. We had a great time last time because we had some time off as well.
Did you bring the family down and all that?
Probably not. No, it's not just down the road, is it?
No, that's true.
I mean, you might actually be directly beneath our feet, but there's a few thousand miles of magma between and crust.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky, trying to drag the family around. Yeah. Well, man, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us again, and I really wish you and the guys all the best with the album and the tour, and of course the new Cradle.
Brilliant, thank you.
No worries,
like I say, Hitchcock Blonde, the video's coming out 24th of November, and if anybody wants to check any details about either Devilment, me, or Cradle of Filth, obviously just go to the Facebook pages because they're updated every day.
Yeah, I hope to see you again soon, man.
Yeah, cool. All right, then, take care.